Welcome back to the another video tutorial from TI Lectures. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing about the pancreas and its hormones, right? So we know that in our body we do have different kinds of hormones, different kinds of organs present inside our body, right? So pancreas is one of the important gland organ present inside our body, and this pancreas, it's a heterocrine gland organ which possesses both endocrine as well as exocrine function, right? So we call it is a heterocrine gland. It is a heterocrine gland means it has both endocrine as well as exocrine function, right? That means it possesses both the endocrine part as well as the exocrine part, right? So pancreas, it's a part of our digestive system and produce important hormones and important enzymes that help in breaking down the food material, that help in breaking down the food stuff, right? Pancreas, it is six it is 6 to 8 inches long and extends horizontally across the abdomen. It's 6 to 8 inches long and extends horizontally across the abdomen, right? The largest part of the pancreas lies on the right side of the abdomen, while the stomach attaches to the first part of the small intestine, what we called as duodenum. This very important portion, that is duodenum, right? So at this junction, the partially digested food passes from the stomach into the small intestine and from mouth and mixes with the secretions from the pancreas, right? The narrow part of the pancreas extends to the left side of the abdomen and next to the spleen, right? So here you can see this very image. This is the image of the pancreas. This is the leaf-like structure which is 6 to 8 inches long, right? And it attaches to the first part of small intestine, that's called as duodenum, right? The partially digested food from the stomach passes into the small part of the intestine, that's called as duodenum, and the secretions from the pancreas comes, and that pancreas pours that very secretions into the small part of this intestine, what is called as duodenum, right? So if we see, we mentioned the word here that it's a heterocrine gland. That means it possesses both the endocrine function as well as the exocrine function, right? Around 95% of the pancreas is exocrine tissue. Around 95% of the pancreas is an exocrine tissue, which is responsible for the production of pancreatic juice, and that pancreatic juice contains different kinds of enzymes, important kinds of enzymes that help in breaking down the food material into the small compounds, right? So a pancreas makes about 1 liter of pancreatic juice every day. It makes about 1 liter of pancreatic juice every day. It makes about 1 liter of pancreatic juice every day, right? The remaining and the left 5% comprises of the endocrine tissue, right? The endocrine part, the remaining 5% comprises the endocrine part, which contains hundreds of thousands of endocrine cells known as islets of Langerhans, right? So this 5% contains the endocrine tissue, which contains hundreds of thousands of clusters of grape-like structures. We call them islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. That's very important. Islets of Langerhans, right? So these grape-like cell clusters produce important kinds of hormones, important kinds of chemicals, what we call as hormones. We call them insulin and glucagon. As you might have heard the name insulin, and one is insulin, one is glucagon. So the 5% comprise of the grape-like clusters like cells. We call them islets of Langerhans, and which is responsible for the production of important kinds of two important hormones. One is called as insulin and another is called as glucagon. Right? So the exocrine tissue, it secretes a clear watery alkaline juice that contains several enzymes, different kinds of enzymes, and these enzymes help in breaking down food material into small molecules that can be easily absorbed by the absorbative cells of the intestine, what we call as enterocytes. Right? So the enzymes, will see the different kinds of enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice. That pancreatic juice is secreted by the exocrine part that comprise the 95% part. That pancreatic juice is secreted by the exocrine tissue or exocrine part, and this pancreatic juice contains different kinds of important enzymes which help in breaking down the food material into the small stuff that can be easily absorbed by the enterocyte cells of the small intestine. Right? So we'll see the important kinds of enzymes. Number one, trypsin. Good. Trypsin is there. Chymotrypsin is there. Sorry, chymotrypsin. Trypsin is there. Chymotrypsin is there. These are these two kinds of hormones, or these two kinds of enzymes in the pancreatic juice help to digest the protein part of the food material. Right? The pancreatic amylase. Pancreatic amylase, that is responsible for breaking down the carbohydrate portion of the food material. The pancreatic lipase, that is responsible for breaking down the fat material of the food stuff. Right? So these are the important kinds of these enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. The trypsin, the chymotrypsin, which helps in breaking down the protein part. The pancreatic amylase helps in breaking down the carbohydrate portion, and pancreatic amylase works or acts upon the this lipid part of the food material. Right? The endocrine portion, that's also very important, very important, that contains the islets of Langerhans I talked earlier, or we call them islets of Langerhans, named after the German physician Paul Langerhans, right, who first discovered them in 1869. Paul Langerhans, who discovered them in 1869, and that's why on the name of this renowned German physician Paul Langerhans, this was named as islets of Langerhans, right? Because the scientist Paul Langerhans, who discovered the islets of Langerhans, right, and described it in 1869, right? The normal pancreas that contain about 1 million islets of Langerhans. That's very important, that what the normal pancreas contains 1 million of islets of Langerhans. Right? You got my point? And this islets of Langerhans, it consists of it's composed of, or it consists of four important kinds of cells, right? And four important kinds of cell types. For example, number one, alpha; number two, beta; number three, number one, alpha; number two, beta; number three, delta cells, right? And the third type of cell, that is C cells. Sorry, four type of cell. Number one is alpha, number two is beta, number third is delta, and number fourth is C type of cell, right? The function of the C type of cell is not known yet, because its function is not known, its function is uncertain yet, but the function of alpha cells, beta cells, and delta cells is clear, right? So if we talk about these different kinds of cells and the functions they perform, we'll see the beta cell. It's very important because it produce important kinds of an hormone that's known as insulin. In the next video lecture, the next part of this video lecture, we'll be discussing about the types of the cells in detail and the functions they perform. Thank you.